Hi, I'm Heather Price. Our talk today is Climate Justice Across the Curriculum, a statewide college faculty curriculum development program in Washington State. I'm at North Seattle College and my collaborators are Sonya Doucette at Bellevue College and Irene at the Washington State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. In this talk, I'll give a brief overview of these programs, followed by the results of student perceptions surveys across a range of STEM disciplines. First, let's talk about why to integrate climate justice and civic engagement into our classes. Our students are concerned about climate change. In surveys in STEM classes at the start of the quarter, the top 3 concerns chosen by students have been climate change, followed by racial inequality, and then mental health. And 88% of our students want their top 3 concerns integrated and taught in their classes. We're teaching the climate generation who will be facing the challenges, and we know justice-centered STEM teaching leads to student success. There's evidence of this in the educational research literature focused on experiences of students of color and women in STEM, and we're hearing it from our own students too. Here's 2 quotes from students in Sonya and my chemistry classes illustrating student interest in having what Ebony McGee coined an equity ethic, which in the case of our classes is climate justice integrated into our chemistry classes. The quote on the left is from a Black woman student who stayed in STEM, and the quote on the right is from an older white male student who is making a career change. And it's not enough to just teach our students about the science and social justice aspects of climate change. Similar to a medical doctor, we need to not just give our students the test results. We also need to help them learn and develop the skills and tools needed to heal and repair, and this is where civic and community engagement comes in. Taking action through civic engagement can be beneficial to psychological well-being. It feels good and can help reduce feelings of anxiety and hopelessness that a lot of students have around the climate crisis. Next, I'll give an overview of these programs in Washington State. This work began at the community colleges where Sonya and I teach, first at Bellevue and then at North Seattle College. We work with faculty across all disciplines from humanities, arts, ESL, and all areas of STEM. And this internally funded work led to our National Science Foundation research project, the Sea Justice Project. We now are in year 3 of our NSF grant. The latest expansion of our work is the Washington Statewide Climate Justice Across the Curriculum program that is funded by the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges. At these 17 community and technical colleges across Washington State, we train teams of 2 faculty leads to lead climate justice curriculum development institutes at their respective schools. Each team facilitated a quarter-long institute for 10 of their faculty peers, helping them to create climate justice with civic engagement integrated lessons. To date, in Washington State, more than 500 faculty have taken part in quarter-long curriculum development institutes, creating lessons for their classes. And in the National Science Foundation project, Sonya and I have had 47 STEM faculty participants so far. I also led a faculty curriculum development institutes at University of Washington, and that work continues thanks to funding by the College of the Environment and is now being led by UW Atmospheric Sciences professor Alex Turner. Our climate justice curriculum modules have 4 components, and I'll walk you through each one of them. First, to engage through social injustices that arise from climate change, we use this list of example climate justice issues to help faculty brainstorm what they want to include in their courses. For the civic or community engagement component, it can be something small that students do, like wearing a button or posting to social media, or it can be larger, such as calling a legislator or attending a protest. And there are also many dimensions to being an engaged citizen. Students might learn knowledge or skills they need to be engaged, or they may feel a greater responsibility or commitment to do so. Here's example civic and community engagements to help faculty brainstorm what to include in their lesson, and some faculty will just show this list and let students pick. And our students, they want to be civically engaged. In our pre-surveys, 73% of students answered yes to the question, would you like to be more socially politically or civically engaged in your community. But at the beginning of the quarter, only 43% of our students say they know how to become involved in climate justice issues. But by the end of the quarter, after experiencing a See Justice module, 80% of students know how to become involved in climate justice issues. See Justice modules also contain positive stories of change and empowerment, especially by marginalized communities most affected by the climate crisis. This is important because we have to shift climate teaching away from doom and gloom and towards positive stories of change. It's necessary for adaptation to climate change. And over 90% of students answered in both the pre and the post surveys that they are worried about climate change, and this makes it important to bring in positive stories of change. Here's an example template we developed for use in our quarter-long faculty development institutes that combine the 4 aspects of a climate justice module. This example is a lesson on methane, so-called natural gas, that I developed for my chemistry class. This example from my general chemistry class engages students with climate justice issues related to childhood asthma, impacts of pipelines and fracking on indigenous lands, water and air quality. It connects to chemistry content such as balancing equations, gas laws, redox, and it empowers civic engagement by having students practice science communication in sharing what they've learned with friends and family and reflecting on those conversations, and inspires students with positive stories of change through watching and reflecting on readings or documentary films such as the film Yeehaw or Ancestral Waters. The See Justice Learning Framework has 5 main pieces when it comes to assessment of student experience. They're summarized on this slide, but I'm going to explain each one a little bit more as I go through the survey results. These are going to be pre and post surveys. They're pretty long, so I'm just going to show the statistically significant results of matched pair analysis from STEM students at North Seattle College and Bellevue College. First, social consciousness. This is about students developing a critical consciousness so that they can see systemic inequalities and how they lead to disproportionate impacts of climate change on certain people and communities. Students were asked what extent they agree with certain statements. So for the 4 statements shown here, agreement increased as students experienced learning within the See Justice framework. This shows an increased understanding of structural inequity. And with these 4 statements, you can see that students agreed more strongly that certain racial groups and women have fewer chances to get ahead, and white people and men have more chances. Next is the STEM to society connections. Students showed increased interest, confidence, and ability to see these connections. They were more interested in reading about STEM in relation to civic issues, more confident in making arguments using evidence from science and math, and also more confident in thinking about science or math information in the media. They were also more confident in making arguments using evidence from science or math. Science as a tool for social change. Equity ethic is a term that was coined by McGee and Bentley in 2017, referring to students' principled concern for social justice. So this is about why a social justice-centered approach to STEM teaching can be more appealing to groups typically underrepresented in STEM fields, such as students of color and women. Our data shows students becoming more confident in applying science or math to social concerns, and also how they increasingly viewed STEM as a tool to serve marginalized communities for achieving social justice and for civic action. 65% of students ranked working in a job that gives them an opportunity to be directly helpful to others in their top 3 priorities for their future work. And we see a significant increase in students seeing science and math as a tool for achieving social justice. Next, students' understanding of climate justice and how it will cause more harm to groups of people with less political and economic power also increased. This includes people of color, women, people with disabilities, children, and people in developing countries. And an understanding of the need to address social inequity to resolve the climate crisis also increased for all students. We found a difference in both pre and post survey responses when we disaggregated the data by race. white students showed less agreement with this statement compared to students of color. Finally, the dimensions of civic engagement. Students showed increased knowledge about how to get involved in climate justice issues, they had more confidence in resolving these issues, and they had a greater sense of commitment and responsibility for getting involved and taking action. All students felt more responsibility to get involved and participate in political activities and decision making. But when disaggregating for race, we noticed that Asian students felt significantly less like they should participate than white students and other students of color. Here's some student quotes. Sorry, I don't have time to read them, but I'm providing them here to show that qualitative data from surveys align with our quantitative survey data. Thank you for listening.